Am I wrong for not giving some of my settlement money to my husband's ex? As a divorce attorney, I'm going to explain exactly why she is not wrong in this situation, and I'll give you a hint. It has to do with child support. Doesn't it always? I, 36 female, am married to my husband, Ben, 36 male. He has an ex that he was on again, off again with for 12 years, and her name is Karen, and she's 35 female. Ben and I just had our 3-year anniversary in August. Anyway, a couple of years before Ben and I got married, I had bought a car. It was nice, but definitely nothing fancy. Fast forward to July of 2024, I got into a bad car accident. I was okay, but I totaled my car. Dang, that's sad to hear. I had literally got done paying it off about a month before this happened. The accident wasn't my fault, and because of that, I was able to get a lawyer to fight due to the back injuries that I sustained, and also to get compensation for the car that was now totaled. The wait was long. It took over a year for me to see any money from the accident. So you went all this time without having a car? The accident happened after my husband and I got married, but I owned the car before we got married and it was in my name only. So she is hinting at the fact that this is separate property, meaning that the husband or the marriage has no claim to this car. I finally got paid out for my car and it was about $11,000. Good for you. It wasn't a huge amount, but it was definitely enough for me to get another car. I decided that I didn't want another car payment, so I started looking for a car that I could afford to buy cash and be done with it. I can see why she doesn't want a car payment because it probably left a bad taste in her mouth that she paid off her car and then literally the next month she got in an accident and totaled her car. My husband pays Karen child support, but he really shouldn't have to as Karen makes more than him and they also have 50-50 custody of the kids. So I personally feel like Ben got screwed over with the whole thing. Then why doesn't he go back into court and ask for a modification? If she makes more, they have 50-50. He should either be paying less child support or no child support, depending on the circumstances. We recently fell on hard times as the business that my husband and I were trying to build ended up failing after about a year and a half of us trying really hard. So now we're out of work for the moment and my husband had fallen a little behind in his child support payments. When I say that, I mean that he is only 1 month behind. That's really not bad. For a lot of child support orders, people are several months to years behind in child support. So he's not doing too bad here. I ended up finding a great deal on a 2017 Nissan Maxima and I bought it with my settlement money. It's important to remember what I said earlier about the car being mine and about how I purchased the car before Ben and I got married. She is emphasizing on the fact that she had this car before the marriage because she is trying to establish it as separate property, meaning that the car belongs solely to her, so Ben should not have gotten any of the money from her settlement, so she was free to buy this car without Ben's say. The settlement money was in no way Ben's, it was mine, and he was not in the car at the time of the accident. Again, she gets the money for the totaled car and he's not getting any money for any injuries that he suffered because he wasn't in the car at the time of the accident. I have been hearing from my husband's side of the family that Karen is pissed because we can afford to buy a fancy car, but we can't even pay our child support. This shocks me because there is no we. They are not my children and I also have 3 children of my own that I am taking care of, so this comment really gave me the ick. I'm absolutely on the wife's side with this. There is no we when it comes to his child support and we'll get into why that is. Another thing that bothered me about this comment is that for one, she was telling this to the children. For 2, my husband was literally 2 weeks late on his payment at the time. So she's just being greedy, right? Just being greedy because he's only 2 weeks behind. He can still pay it by the end of the month, maybe. I told my stepchildren that I purchased the car with my own money and that she wasn't entitled to my money as I am not the one that made those kids with her. They told her what I said and she apparently said something like, when you're married, nothing is just yours anymore. That is true, but only to an extent. I'm standing on the fact that I'm not the one that owes her money for the kids that I had no say in the creation of. It's a hill I'm absolutely willing to die on, but my mother-in-law is saying that I should have paid her the money that my husband owes her, but that would have made it to where I couldn't afford to get the car. So, am I wrong for not giving my husband's ex money out of my settlement? You guys already know what to do. Make sure you are commenting down below whether this poster is wrong. And if you haven't already, please do hit the like button because it helps out this channel. And as you know, I am an attorney in California, so we are going to be talking about this under California law. It's not clear what state these people are actually in, but if you have a similar situation, you should definitely consult an attorney in your area. Now let's jump into the analysis. Now, the only reason why the wife is wrong in this scenario is because she told the kids that this is her car, her money. There is no reason why she should be involving the kids to give them the opportunity to go back and tell their mom exactly what the stepmom is saying. But when we get into the ownership of the car, the wife is correct by establishing this car is separate property. Now, if they are in a community property state, there can be some nuances that it could be partially community property and partially separate property, because if she was making payments on the car during the marriage and she is in a community property state, those payments that she was making were considered community property payments, because any income that you earn during the marriage is considered community property. Because they were married for 3 years, it looks like she paid off the car about 2 years into the marriage and she started paying on it before the marriage. It's unclear how long she was paying on it before the marriage, but we may be able to argue that at least 2 years of those payments should be considered community property. So this is definitely a situation that someone can argue that this is partially separate property and partially community property, but since this is not a divorce, it doesn't really matter what the ex-wife is saying in this situation. Now back to the settlement. Since this car is in her name, she was driving it, she was the one in the accident, and the car was totaled under her name, the insurance company is only going to look at her when it comes to giving her the money for the cost of the car. Since she is the owner, they're not going to look into the fact that, oh, she made some payments during the marriage and that could be considered community property. It's just not that deep. Now, if this was a situation where the wife did add Ben onto the title, that check probably would have went out with both the wife's name and Ben's name, and he would have been entitled to that money. And in most states, if Ben is actually paying his child support through the state or the county, they could actually attach to that lawsuit and collect that money. But that does not apply here because the car seems to only be in the wife's name, so there's no way they would have been able to collect on that $11,000. And when Karen said, when you're married, nothing is truly only yours, she is absolutely correct, and you can kind of see that playing out in my explanation of the payments during the marriage versus the payments made on the car before the marriage. But there are certain things that would not be considered community property no matter which way you swing it when it comes to determining who is the owner of what. And that would include any money that the poster would get for the actual physical injuries to her. We know that Karen cannot get the money from the car because the car is only in the wife's name. And the poster only told us how much she got from the car, which was $11,000. But if she gets money for her bodily injury, Karen still cannot collect on that money because since the money would be for injuries to her person, that money is her separate property, even if the accident happened during the marriage. So while it's true that when you're married, a lot of your assets and debts are not just yours personally, it is the community's, it is both the husband and the wives or the spouses together, there are certain situations where that doesn't apply, and this happens to be one of them. Now, why is it important that this money belongs solely to the wife in this situation? It's important because if the husband was entitled to the money because the car was community property, then child support can attach to the settlement and the money would go to pay off the father's arrears. This does not exist in this situation. When you get married to someone new, they are not responsible for your child support in any way, shape, or form. The financial responsibility to take care of children are solely on the two parents that created the child, which is why you see in a lot of states when you are married to someone new, the courts do not consider the new spouse's income to calculate child support. So the wife is absolutely correct in this situation that she is not responsible for paying her husband's child support, and Karen needs to take up any arrears that is owed by the father with the father. But anyways, if you haven't already, make sure you comment, like, and subscribe. And if you enjoy videos like this, make sure you check out the next one where the husband put a hidden camera in the house to catch the wife doing something she wasn't supposed to.